What's going on, guys? This is Tower number 9. We are coming to you live here with Hera Syndulla versus Boba Fett in Star Wars Unlimited. It's going to be exciting. I think I have streamed, I think I've streamed or made a YouTube video for all heroes other than Hera and Grand Inquisitor, and I have some Grand Inquisitor footage saved that I need to commentate. But here we have Hera, so I'm hoping to complete the complete the coverage of of all leaders with at least one video. So yeah, let's take a look at what Hera has to offer here. Hera Syndulla Spectre 2 has a passive ability, does not have an action. So the only other leader that is in this category right now is Director Krennic with a passive ability. And Hera's passive is very unusual. It ignores the aspect penalty on Spectre cards you play. So it's really more of a deck building advantage that allows you to play all the Spectre cards regardless of what aspects you've chosen for your build. So right now, the Spectre cards are Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus. There is an event that is also Spectre, which is the newly previewed Spark of Rebellion, which looks at your opponent's hand and discards a card. And so you can play all of those in a Hera deck, regardless of what aspects you end up going with. So interesting advantage there. Uh, the opening here, we're going to see Sabine Wren, explosives expert, or explosives artist. So that is one of those Spectre units that's being brought in from out of aspect. And even though Xenu doesn't have an aggression aspect icon, he's able to play Sabine for only 2 resources thanks to Hera's ability, ignoring that aspect penalty. So then we see Poem playing Viper Probe Droid. 2 cost 3/2 when played. Look at an opponent's hand. And we're gonna see what happens next. So Viper Probe is a 3/2. If Sabine attacks into the Viper, it will actually be a trade. Sabine can hit at strength 3, so she can actually attack and defeat 2 3s without being defeated herself because her on attack ability combined with her 2 damage will do a total of 3 and remove them, and she'll take 2 and survive. But against a 3/2, it would be a trade, although Xenu would be able to use the on attack ability to deal that 1 damage to the base. So it could be a not precisely trade that still get a yeah, it would be a trade and then also a little bit of bonus value for Xenu with the 1 damage to the base. Okay, so I think let's see what we got here. So we could see so what can we see here? Looks like Looks like Sabine is attacking the base directly for 3 total damage. Okay. And now if the probe droid does decide to trade with Sabine, it will end up with more damage on the base. In general, if you feel comfortable with the situation and would accept the trade but don't feel that it's important, attacking the enemy base is a good idea because you're pushing damage through, whereas your opponent is going to use their action to make that trade if they do end up going for that, which is to your advantage. On the other hand, there's a possibility of a card like Shoot First being played. Ooh, Jedha City being played here. So giving a non-leader unit -4, -0 for this phase. The epic action on Jedha City makes it so that Sabine here is 0 attack, and the probe droid will be able to attack into her and defeat her without taking any damage. We then see Xenu play Greedo, a recently previewed card from the Cunning aspect stream that was actually, I believe, just earlier today. Greedo is a 1 cost 3/1. When defeated, you may discard a card from your deck. If it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. Okay, so we see it looked like he had attacked with the Viper Pro Droid into Sabine, but then asked for a take back, which Xenu was happy to grant, and played Boba first. This way, when the Probe Droid clears out Sabine, there will be an exhausted resource for Boba Fett collecting the bounty here, the leader, to ready up. We see a Lothal Insurgent being played. When played, if you played another card this phase, each opponent draws a card, then discards a random card from their hand. And that discard ends up hitting another Viper Probe Droid, which I think was also the card that was just drawn. So now the Viper Probe Droid that was already on the board defeats Sabine. Sabine was at 0 attack thanks to that Jedha City. And then we're going to see Boba Fett collecting the bounty readies a resource. When an enemy unit leaves play, you may exhaust this unit leader if you do ready a resource. Xenu takes the initiative, and then we see the Mining Guild TIE Fighter. A 1 cost 1/2 on attack, you may pay 2 resources if you do draw a card. Actually, a fairly reliable card draw card that can potentially generate a lot of card advantage, but at the cost of resources and with only 1/2 as its stat line, it's vulnerable to almost everything in the game. In fact, I believe essentially any space unit will be able to defeat this with the basic TIE LN trading with it. But yeah, interesting though if the space arena is uncontested as it is presently, it can be some substantial advantage. So let's see what Xenu does here with the initiative. So we have the Lothal Insurgent and we have Greedo. One I think reasonable play here would be to have, we could see Fleet Lieutenant being played to have the Lothal Insurgent attack Boba Fett at +2 strength and defeat him. Um, we could see we could see just a straight trade against that probe droid. No, Jedha City being used here on Xenu's side and debuffing Boba Fett. So Boba Fett now at maybe not. Okay. Boba Fett at -4 attack, strength 0, can still actually do some damage though with that on attack ability. But now we could potentially see that Fleet Lieutenant being played to send the Lothal Insurgent in and defeat Boba Fett while leaving the Lothal Insurgent alive. Bosk could also potentially trade with the Viper there. And Bosk has an interesting ability. When defeated, you may discard a card from your deck. If it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. So if that ability fired and hit a non-unit, it could then deal 2 damage to Boba. The Lothal Insurgent could defeat Boba without having the Fleet Lieutenant, and Xenu could then play Kanan instead, which would be higher value. So interesting situation there. Poem has the Mining Guild TIE Fighter attack and pays 2 resources to draw a card, drawing a copy of Cunning. So this is another card from the Cunning live stream. Choose 2 in any order. Return a non-leader unit with 4 or less power to its owner's hand. Give a unit +4/+0 for this phase. Exhaust up to 2 units, or an opponent discards a random card from their hand. Interesting stuff. We have actually a lot of new cards here in this matchup with both players playing Cunning builds. Ooh, bit of a mistake there, I think. The Lothal Insurgent swings into Boba. The problem is now Boba can just kill the Lothal Insurgent with that on attack ability. I don't think that was the I don't think that was the best way to handle that. Could be wrong though. Okay, the probe droid trades with Greedo. So when defeated, you may discard a card from your deck. If it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit, but it is a unit. It's a TIE fighter. If it were a non-unit, that would have allowed Xenu to make up for the situation with Boba earlier and would defeat Boba immediately. But that wasn't how Xenu played it. I think at this point we're likely to just see Kanan deploying here. That seems pretty likely to me. The problem here is that Boba is still able to defeat that Lothal Insurgent thanks to the on-attack ability. So, a bit of a negative situation. I am your father on Kanan. 7 damage or draw 3 cards. And Xenu chooses to allow Poem to draw 3 cards. I think it's a rather unfavorable situation for Xenu right now. Does take the initiative. Poem doesn't realize that Boba Fett can defeat the Lothal Insurgent, it seems, and just passes. Okay. So I think it's interesting. I think perhaps both players misplayed that a bit. Boba Fett could have actually defeated that Lothal Insurgent for free with the on-attack ability being lethal and wouldn't even have taken damage in return. Um, so interesting situation. Huge card advantage now for Poem with the card draw from the Mining Guild TIE Fighter and the card draw from and the card draw from the I Am Your Father play. What do we have here? We have a Sabine Wren and a Fleet Lieutenant in hand here. Considering the resourcing choice with a ton of cards available, ends up resourcing a copy of Greedo, which does seem fair. Greedo's a bit of an early game type unit, maybe. Okay, so Kanan attacks Boba, or no. Yeah, okay, yeah, Kanan attacks Boba and defeats him, taking 3 damage. And it does mill a card. Mills a card. It's a copy of Greedo, so that will heal 1 HP. On attack, you may discard 1 card from the defending player's deck for each friendly Spectre unit. Heal 1 damage from your base for each different aspect among the discarded cards. Only one aspect there with Greedo. He is just a cunning unit and not villainous. But only 1 point of healing was needed because the only damage that had been taken was one, I believe, from the Mining Guild TIE Fighter earlier. I think it's likely that we're going to see a Fleet Lieutenant play with the Lothal Insurgent and then maybe Sabine Wren being deployed here on Xenu's Paradox is side of the board. Not an awesome hand. There's a lot of options here for Poem. Mining Guild TIE Fighter swings in for 1. Looks like it's not paying for the bonus cards though. Just poking for 1 damage and maybe trying to stall out the game. Sometimes it can be useful to sometimes it can be useful to delay the game. You get these situations where like you're trying to wait and see what your opponent wants to do and you're delaying the game. And in those sorts of situations, it honestly makes a lot of sense to do like low impact actions like that Mining Guild TIE Fighter play. We see the Fleet Lieutenant deploying here from Xenu's Paradox. 3 cost, 3/3. When played, you may attack with a unit. If it's a rebel unit, it gets +2/+0. The Lothal Insurgent then gets to swing in for 5 total damage, and she does that damage directly to Boba's base over there. So in terms of base HP totals, Xenu's Paradox is well ahead, but I'm not sure that's going to last. Cunning played here. Let's see what effects are chosen. Re- Yeah, so the return ability here isn't great. Returns the Fleet Lieutenant and then causes a random discard. That does mean that the return unit effect does trigger Boba's ability, the enemy unit left play. So then discarding it at random here. The thing is, this means the Fleet Lieutenant effect can be used again, and it's a good effect. So I'm not sure, but maybe the Fleet Lieutenant will be discarded. And it is. The Fleet Lieutenant was sent back to hand and then discarded by the random discard. So it was essentially just removed from play. It triggered Boba's effect, and not terrible. I suspect we're going to see Xenu's Paradox playing out Sabine Wren here. Not a lot else makes sense here with that hand. Yep, there she is, Sabine Wren, Explosives Artist. One of the strongest, maybe the strongest 2 cost in the game right now. Boba Fett collecting the bounty hits the field to fight against this powerful rebel ground arena. I believe Xenu's Paradox has now taken the initiative. And Boba is a 5 cost 4/7 and deploys on 5 resources. So his stats are actually very good for his deployment timing. By contrast, Hera is a 4/6 and deploys on 6 resources. So she actually has worse stats and deploys later. Oh, so Poem tries to attack Sabine, but Xenu points out that Sabine can't be attacked. So this ability doesn't always come into play, but while there are at least 3 aspects among other friendly units, this unit can't be attacked unless she gains Sentinel. So because of that ability, Boba Fett has to choose a different target because there are at least 3 aspects among other friendly units, and that's one thing that Hera Syndulla really enables. Because Hera ignores the aspect penalty on Spectre cards that you play, it's much easier than it would be otherwise to get those multiple aspects in play to enable Sabine Wren's defensive ability. Looks like Poem opts to attack the base instead. Boba Fett readies two resources, and then we see another copy of Cunning being played. It's going to be a return and random discard yet again. It's returning Kanan, and then the random discard will get either Kanan or that change of heart that's in hand. Those copies of Cunning are an interesting way to try to push for card advantage here and take advantage of the large number of cards in hand. Looks like Change of Heart is discarded. Kanan is the only card in hand. Tough situation there, maybe for Xenu's Paradox. The card advantage at this point is huge. So this Cunning to weaken the opponent's board and make them discard at random has been getting big results in terms of the card advantage situation. We have six cards in hand over there for Poem, and only two cards in hand for Xenu's Paradox. Of course, playing one card to discard one card from your opponent's hand isn't card advantage on its own, it's even. But if you have so many cards, you'd probably rather your opponent's options be constrained and can readily trade one for one. So a very silly example is if you had 10 cards in hand that were all, discard, like play this card, your opponent discards a card. It would be very strong if you could play all those and bring your opponent to zero cards in hand and then have other stuff remaining in your own hand, even if it was just stuff to make them discard again, you'd be removing their options while maintaining options of your own. And at least if the board isn't really unfavorable, which it currently isn't, that type of thing can be a lot of value. Sabine Wren swings into the base there and inflicts 3 damage. I think there's a good chance we're going to see Bosk or Fett's Fire Spray this turn. Lothal Insurgent still on the board. Oh, it looks like they're doing a take back here. Instead of doing that, he's going to play Kanan first. I believe that's to enable Sabine's defenses. So yeah, yeah. So with Kanan in play, Sabine's text is now active. There are at least 3 aspects among other friendly units, so Sabine can't be attacked unless she gains Sentinel. It looks like they're taking a look at Hera's card. I think Poem considering how to handle it. Surprise strike on Boba. Boba defeats Kanan. And with Boba's ability here, when this unit completes an attack, if an enemy unit left play this phase, ready up to 2 resources. So the 2 resources spent on that surprise strike get refunded right back. Attack with the unit gets +3/+0 for this attack. One of my favorite cards. I've even played this card out of aspect in some decks. It can be a very good aggro card and is also great for picking off enemy leaders quickly. All right, so it looks like Sabine is actually going to trade into Boba. Or no, the Lothal Insurgent is going to trade into Boba. So Sabine is the only unit left in the ground arena after those trades. Boba Fett was damaged first by attacking Kanan. Oh, and now Bosk arrives to take down Sabine. Bosk, 4/5 with ambush. After you play this unit, you may ready and attack an enemy unit. When you play an event, you may deal 2 damage to a unit. Bosk arrives and defeats Sabine Wren, Explosives Artist there. I think we're gonna see Hera deploy and maybe attack into Bosk. Yeah, there's no resources for events to do this damage, so I think this is kind of Xenu's window. I guess there was one resource, but there was not an event with it. So it's just a basic tie gets deployed. I think Hera probably now defeats Bosk. So Hera's ability gives an experience token to another unique unit. Unfortunately for Xenu, all of those unique units that he had in play with Sabine and Kanan have been defeated now. So there isn't going to be that on attack ability. But Hera's unit side shares the passive, ignoring the aspect penalty on Spectre cards, and 4/6 isn't a terrible stat line. It's just a little lackluster, I think, for a 6 cost or a 6 resource deploy leader. Okay, so Hera is now the last woman standing in the ground arena. Let's see how long her superiority there will last. Actually, a pretty nice hand there for Xenu, despite the low number of cards. Could play Ezra and Waylay this turn, which wouldn't be bad at all. And then if Hera lives, oh, here we go with Fett's Fire Spray. 6 cost, 5/6 when played. If you control Boba Fett or Jango Fett as a leader or unit, ready this unit. So it comes into play readied as a 5/6, very strong card in a Boba Fett deck. But I think we could see Waylay come out here and send it right back to hand. In fact, that seems pretty likely. We could also see Change of Heart played to gain control of it and turn it against the Imperial units there. But I think Waylay on it is better, and then play Ezra, and then you have Hera attack and buff Ezra. I think that's how I would probably do it, and you'll have the Change of Heart for later. Yeah, Waylay on Fett's Fire Spray. Return a non-leader unit to its owner's hand. This card was discussed during the Cunning stream, but it's one that we've known about for a while. Very solid card. Probably going to see an Ezra deployment now, and then Hera attacking into Boba's base. The little Imperial fighters are doing some damage. Hera deals 4 damage to the base and gives an experience token to Ezra. So that ability kicking in, it's similar to Grand Moff Tarkin's ability. The main difference is that Tarkin's ability is another Imperial unit, whereas Hera's ability is another unique unit. Hera also has better stats at 4/6 instead of 2/7, but does deploy a turn later under normal conditions. Ooh. No good to me dead. Exhaust a unit and that unit can't ready this round, including during the regroup phase. Okay, so it's going to exhaust Ezra. Yeah, so this is going to exhaust Ezra, and he won't ready this round, including during the regroup phase, so he won't be active next turn either. Hera swings into the base for 4 and can give a +1 counter to Ezra, but it looks like it's been forgotten. Okay, there we go. And ATST takes the field. The change of heart could prove big. We could see change of heart on that ATST. Boba's little fighters swing in for 3 damage, but we could see lethal this turn. Depending on how this goes, we could see lethal this turn. Um, no resource there. Interesting. I would have resourced one of the Landos. Change of heart. Take control of a non-leader unit. At the start of the regroup phase, its owner takes control of it. That ATST is betraying the Empire here. Has temporarily joined the rebellion, and it looks like Palm actually concedes after that change of heart. Yeah, it looks like there isn't an answer to the ATST, so that would be 6 damage. Could have deployed the Syndicate lackeys to defeat Hera, but then Ezra would be able to attack in and clear the base on the next turn. So victory there for Hera Syndulla against Boba Fett. Interesting game there. This is the first time that I've showcased Hera Syndulla on stream, and it was a victory for her. The Hera Cunning deck had a bunch of tricks up its sleeve and was able to get the win. So congratulations to Xenu's Paradox for the victory with Hera Syndulla. Very cool game. Very cool game. All right, if these players keep with it, we're going to keep streaming, and if not, I might jump in myself. We'll have to see what happens. Harrison Dula. So this leader, I think, when first previewed, this leader seemed like one of the worst to some people, including myself. But as we've seen more of these Spectre cards, and the Spectre cards do seem to be high power level, it does seem possible to me that there's going to be some solid synergy that's going to allow this to get some good results. So I think Harrison Dula might be a contender in the future. All right, I'm gonna see if there's gonna be another game. And if so, we'll keep streaming, and if not, I might jump in and we can stream myself playing or something and just see how it goes. We're gonna take a look here at the yeah. So ignore the aspect penalty on Spectre cards. Doesn't have a leader ability. Doesn't have another ability, but it is relevant. Because those Spectre cards are strong, and it looks like we're going to get a fair few of them. I think we might have. So right now, in terms of the Spectre cards, so there's Sabine Wren, Explosive Artist. There's Ezra Bridger. There is Kanan Jarrus. There is that event. What's it called? Spark of Rebellion. So that's four. If we get a card for Zeb, that's five. If we get a Hera unit, that's six. If we get a Ghost unit, that's seven. If we get a Chopper unit, that would be eight. And I believe Tyler said on stream that there was another event that has the Spectre trait. So we could conceivably see nine Spectre cards. Now, to be fair, some of those would be things that you might already be playing with your aspects that were already available. So it's not as if she's giving you nine cards that you wouldn't be able to use. But at the same time, that could be pretty solid. Now, also to be fair, it's possible that we aren't going to see cards for all those. Maybe Zeb doesn't get a unit, or I think Zeb is more likely to get a unit relative to Chopper and Ghost. But maybe some of those don't all get cards, so there could be fewer Spectre cards than nine. But I think that ultimately, if it turns out those cards are good, and if they have abilities that are synergistic with running other Spectres, like Sabine Wren, Explosive Artist's ability to not be able to be attacked based on her allies' aspects, or the Kanan mill ability that just mills the opponent for more cards if you have more specters. So that's a rundown on Hera Syndulla, and I think she might be strong. So we'll have to see how it goes in the future. All right, looks like Xenu is logging off for now, so that's going to do it for this immediate broadcast. But I'm going to start things up again soon with some other stuff. A solid Harrison Dula game to get that hero onto the channel. And yeah, I will catch you guys later.